Well, fancy getting a cue from John Lennon just like that. Morning, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? Do you have a nice Christmas and New Year?
Good. Rita, John, well, very quiet on the Christmas front. On the New Year, not a couple of refreshments, but nothing too much. I should imagine yours was a little bit more involved, having little ones running around, I imagine.
I mean, New Year's Eve, I was asleep by 10:30, so I wasn't, massively raving it up. Didn't even wake up to the fireworks at midnight. I was sound out. So, yeah, relatively quiet, just small family, nothing exciting this year.
No. All right. Okay. Well, things we spoke off air just a little while ago. Speaking about it now, okay, it's 2022. But like you said, a lot of people, I feel, have maybe not realised, because of the way things are, a transition as such, whereby it's like 2021, but just with another number. That people have seen that they're sort of stayed in their ways and thinking, well, what else is going to come? And I can understand that. So how would we overcome such a meh feeling where people are going, ugh, really, what's going to happen now? Is there something we can do in ourselves to try and offset that? So we feel better about the whole situation?
I always like to see a new year. I mean, to me, a new year is kind of like a blank book. So we have a 365-page book, and each page we get to create whatever we want. We get to write the character, we get to write the plot. And I think if these lockdowns and pandemic have taught us anything, it's that there is more to life than slogging your guts out for 15 hours a day doing a job that you dislike for minimum wage, effectively. And I think it's taught people that maybe they can explore other avenues and aspects of who they want to be. Especially for women, we kind of get conditioned, and I think it's starting to shift. There's almost like a sort of revolution going on in the way that we have been assigned our role. So it was very much women us. When I say subservient, I don't mean it in a derogatory way. I don't mean literally subservient. I just mean that we are conditioned to feel that we should care for everybody else above ourselves.
Yeah.
But there's this very meh feeling for a lot of women after the holidays, because actually they've spent the whole holidays looking after, whether it be little kids or older grown-up adults. They all descend on your house and you're just cooking, cleaning, caring for, and you don't get any time to yourself. And I think this year, why not say, if I'm going to live the rest of my life and the many decades I have yet to come, do it in a way that allows me to be me. We lose our identities quite a lot as women, especially because we are Rita or I don't know, Katie or Julie or whoever it might be, and then we become wife and we take a name. So I'm no longer who I used to be. I am Mrs. Trotter. That's not my name. That's not actually really me. We then become mum. So we lose the fact that I'm Rita, I'm Charlie's mum, George's mum, Tommy's mum. And your identity gets completely trampled upon by all of these roles of caring for other people. And then we get to this stage and it's very meh, because it's like there's a whole nother year of just doing it all over again. And at the other end, you'll still be looking after everybody else and you'll still be caring for them and you'll still have lost yourself. This year, let's bring our identities back. Blank book, create the heroine.
So here's the thing then. So in that regard, is it possible then to change the way we think and use 2022 as a reset? In the sense that, right, okay, I'm still my character, I'm still who I am, but let's go about it a different way, but still have all the memories and the feelings and stuff of what's gone before. Because after all, we are the sum of our past, are we not?
Yeah, we are the sum of our parts, and especially that it's not about saying that all of these people and all of these things that we care for can't be a part of our lives. They are a huge part, but maybe it's about just reprioritizing the order that we do things. So if you, as a typical day, okay, mum gets up, does all the breakfast, maybe packs all the lunch if kids are school age, she probably tidies up lots of the house in terms of making beds, things like that. She's then getting herself ready for work as quick as she possibly can, spends 8 hours at work, maybe stopping for a school run. She then does all the kids' dinners. She then puts them down. She looks at the bomb site, cleans up the house. We're now at maybe 8:30 at night. Has she done anything for herself? No. Is she now too exhausted? Yes. Maybe if she started the day by saying, okay, I'm going to rearrange my order. And the first thing I do is I'm going to meditate, or I'm going to do half an hour of yoga, or I'm going to read half an hour of a book, or I'm going to go and watch the sunrise and take a 30-minute walk, whatever it might be for her. 30 minutes of exercise in the living room. I don't know. And if she takes just that little time for her, then maybe it refreshes her. Maybe it gives her energy. Maybe she's then more productive. Maybe doing the kids' lunches takes 15 minutes less because she's taken that time to allow herself to be just with her. And maybe everything during the day works 5% more efficiently. And if that happens, you then suddenly maybe gain an hour. Oh, I've done everything by 7:30 instead of 8:30. I've now got an extra hour to go and have a long hot bath, or spend time with my husband, or I don't know, read another chapter of a book, whatever it might be. So it's about not saying those other parts of your life are not important. It's just about prioritizing you so that you can be the best for those other parts.
Okay, well, I have to say that from my perspective, the other day, there was a few things have been going on and whatever, and I was feeling a little bit, and I thought, So it was suggested that I went out and I took the dog for a walk, went along the seafront, this, that, the other, and various other things. And I have to say, I came back and felt a whole lot better for it. The weather was a bit chilly, a bit bracing, but the fresh air and a change of scenery and a few minutes, but it does work. There's no two ways about it. So what have you done for you this morning then?
So I've done 30 minutes in my gym doing some cardio. So for me, I have sort of non-negotiables that I've spoken about before that I will do every day, regardless of what else life throws at me. So I need to do some sort of movement. I go for a 30-minute walk down the beach. I read at least 10 pages of a book, and I do a 30-minute meditation, and I will fit them in. They're not always in the same place. I try to make them in the same place, but my days just, are always a bit different. But I will always fit them in because they are things that give me both mental and physical energy.
Okay. All right. On that note, so let's break for our first piece of music, and you can choose which one. Now, both of these have got the word sun in them. And I just wondered, we've got Walking on a Dream, Empire of the Sun, and the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun. Was there a reason for choosing stuff with sun in it? Because you reflected on the intro about, starting again, new beginnings and whatever, by still retaining who you are. But do you think that the sun has a great deal to do with it?
I think partly it was my subconscious finding the word sun in these things. But to me, the sun rising and setting is almost like this new year every single day. Everyone builds up to the new year, and I'm going to start again on January the 1st, and it's a brand new year and it's a reset. Every day is a reset. I go down and I watch the sunset, and it's impossible to watch this magnificent array of color disappearing into the horizon without dreaming of what is yet to come. And it's impossible to watch this beautiful pink bright sunburst come up in the morning and not feel excitement for the day. So to me, the sun represents a new year on a single daily basis.
Okay, let's hear the Beatles then. And here comes the sun. Back with Rita this morning. Now, when you hear a song like that, okay, here comes the sun. Yes, I see the sun every day on the majority of occasions. But do you think that we take things like that for granted because it happens every day and because that's what we see? So therefore, it's a constant. Or is it because it's a constant that we rely so much on it, or just take it for what it is?
I think it's human nature to take things for granted because we, as a species, have created such a complicated world for ourselves that it's quite hard in terms of capacity to appreciate every single aspect at every single point that it happens. If we took time to literally appreciate everything that we have all the time, it would be our entire day gone. I'd go, oh, I appreciate the fact that I've got heating. I appreciate the fact that I've got four walls. I appreciate, we take things for granted because sometimes we are living so fast with so much in our mental state to deal with that it's hard to really stop, which is why making time daily to take just 5 minutes to think about what you appreciate from that day can be a massive server to our emotional state. So I take sort of 5 minutes every day and I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for from the day. Sometimes it is the sunset. That could be what I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's my children. Often it's my children. It could be my clients. It could be the fact that I have access to Domino's pizza as and when I want it. It can be really basic things. But if we take moments to appreciate and be grateful for what we have, suddenly that constant desire for more stops, because you go, I have access to Amazon Prime deliveries next day if I want it. I have access to all of these different varieties of food and drink and communal areas and socializing and technology and a window into a world, especially during COVID. Imagine all of the people that don't have that. Imagine all of the people that don't have the healthcare, that don't get to see the sun setting because they're 5 years old and slogging water up a hill for miles. That's when things start to become easier, is if we can just take 5 minutes a day to really be grateful for what we have.
Now, James has been on. He asked a question. That's not his name. He's been on and he said, Rita speaks of a great deal of sound mind and very practical issues. However, it seems to be based mainly just for women. Is she anti-men?
Not at all. Men and women in this life, we're equal, right? We all have a balance. The reason I speak mainly about women, purely, James, is because I work with women. So I think for anybody working with people, you kind of have to try and specialize, because men and women need different things. Men are just as vulnerable, just as emotionally and mentally fragile at times and at strong at other times, that as women, but we need different things physically, emotionally, mentally. We have different lives, different roles. To me, we represent two sides of a coin. And if I tried to, in my business, serve both sides of that coin, I wouldn't serve either side to the best of my ability. So the pure reason that I talk about women is because they're who I work with. For men, I think it's equally as hard in these times because their roles almost started to fade, because men had a very clear role before. If we go back decades, it was women sort of stayed at home, looked after the house, looked after kids. Men were the breadwinners, they went out, they were the masculine.
Yeah, the hunter-gatherers, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's, women are starting to work just as much as men. Maybe they're starting to earn a bit more. They're still trying to be the caretaker. Men are being told, sit in a corner, you're not a minority anymore, so you can't, voice your opinion for fear of offending somebody. And their role is being blurred. And that makes it really hard for men in this day and age as well to actually carve out their identity, because it's quite difficult to know what their identity is anymore. So I think for both sides, life has become challenging because clearly defined roles no longer exist. But for both genders, there is a different need in the way that you tackle that going forward.
Okay, Julie's got a message here, but she's still typing, so I'll wait until she's finished typing. And so there we go. So what about the situation whereby you say the men's role is somewhat blurred in the sense, at one time, as you said, hunter-gatherer, maybe at home, but now the men sometimes also have to help at the home, help with the children, this, that, and the other. Sometimes men are at home looking after children, and the women go out to work, and that's a change of regime. But you know, is that where the balance has become, or is that why the identities have become blurred? Because in some places they've crossed over and gone the other way, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think for every single person, you can't lump all women into one block, and you can't do the same for men either. Everyone needs different things. Every relationship has a different balance that works for them. There could be one relationship where the man is a stay-at-home husband and the woman goes out to work, and that works for them and they love it. Another relationship, it could be very traditional. The woman stays at home and the man goes out. It could be an equal balance. I think in general, though, we are born with a specific, how would I put it, drivers within us. I think naturally we all have drivers, and women have drivers in one direction and men have drivers in another. And potentially our society has evolved beyond what those drivers have. So sometimes our inner, you know, even now sort of I get this inner, oh, just stay at home with the kids. Well, I could do that, I could, but I love working and I love what I do. But sometimes the drivers haven't caught up with what I'm doing in the society that we have now. We have developed as a society so fast, so quickly, okay, over the last 100 years, that maybe our brains and our bodies haven't quite caught up to it. I don't think I have.
Okay. All right. Richard has made a comment, and but surely relationships are partnerships, and he's saying that he looks after his child as much as his ex-partner does, and there's still got to be that communication of it. So how are the roles defined then? It's because if people are together, you and your husband and stuff in a home, you bring up your children, you know, he goes to work, you do your bit. So what happens then when those two people, for whatever reason, are in separate areas, and the common denominator is the child or children, and then there's that crossover is not there, isn't it? So, but they're still caring for the child equally. So it can be a little bit difficult in that respect.
I think for each relationship, whether people are together, apart, other countries, next door, same house, is all about them working out what works for them. Every relationship and every partnership is different because people are unique, and so therefore is their partnership. Looking after children become the center of our world, and so they should be. But even if you're separate, looking after that child, you both still have to take time for you. Being the best version of you means you are the best version for that child. If we neglect, either as a woman or a man, as anybody, if we neglect taking time to do self-care, so it could be playing football, seeing our friends, bubble baths, walks on the beach, walking the dog. DIY for some people is therapeutic, you know, it's different for everybody. If we neglect taking at least 30 minutes a day to care for us without thinking of anybody else, then we're not going to be serving our higher selves to serve the people that we're caring for. And ultimately, we all want to be the best for our kids. And being the best for them means being the best for us.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you very much. So these are the thoughts for the new beginnings.
The thoughts for the new beginnings.
Yeah.
I think
because people, if they haven't aspired to any of those things that you've mentioned, maybe they might think, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, in order for that child, as you referred, if they are a better version of themselves, they're better for the children. Maybe they had not considered that at that point, and maybe it gives somebody the chance to think, well, hang on a minute, we can go further forward here because we can improve ourselves, which will help another party. So I think that's important, don't you think?
I think that is absolutely the most important thing. We all look for happiness from everybody and everything else, you know, from other people, from relationships, from things, from material stuff. Happiness just comes from within us, and we are entirely responsible for our own happiness. And being the best for somebody else and taking care of them means being happy within ourselves. So find what it is in here that makes you happy, and expand that, and then looking after other people suddenly becomes just a way of life.
Okay, fantastic. Wise words. Wise words. All right. Right. Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun. Why not? It's a good song. It's uplifting. It's January. It's a little wee bit grey outside. So let's all just be a bit happy.
Okay. I must admit, up until last night, I hadn't heard this song.
Oh, okay.
But, no, but you know, I live in the dark ages. Let's play this. Walking on a Dream, Empire of the Sun. Rita, thank you very much. And we'll catch you next week. Be on your best behavior and be the best you can. All right. Remember, wise words. I know no idea who said them, but you know. Take care, Rita.
Bye.
Bye-bye.